Howdy, Mavericks. Great to see you guys today. Today, we have a really fascinating topic. And actually, it kind of ties to yesterday's lesson. Remember, yesterday's lesson was all about how illustrations in books by the same illustrator have a lot of similarities. Well, today, and I bet you'll see the connection, did you know that sometimes authors write several books with the same character? So please get out your bow and arrow. Let's hit this learning target. It says, in reading, I can understand. Authors sometimes write several books with the same characters, and the characters' traits are consistent across the books. Woo! Excellent. Woo, 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 woo. Juicy word alert, friends. Juicy word alert. I actually underlined the juicy word in this learning target. It's the word consistent. Can you say consistent? Oh, you must say it in a very fancy way. Yes, the word consistent means that it's done the same way over time. Consistent means to do something the same way over time. And so character traits might be consistent across books. And the author that we're going to be taking a little deep dive with today is Kevin Henkes. If you are familiar with Kevin Henkes' books, go ahead and give me a first grade boogie. Excellent. So I picked three of my favorite. Actually, it's kind of hard because I have several more Kevin Henkes' favorite books, but these are just some of my favorite Kevin Henkes' books. We have Lily's Big Day, Julius, the baby of the world, and Lily's purple plastic purse. That's kind of a mouthful. Well, you can probably look at two of these books and automatically say, I recognize a similar character between these books. Can you point to the two books that it's kind of obvious who the character is between the books that is consistent? You're right. Yep, I hope you pointed to Lily's Big Day and Lily's purple plastic purse. A little bit of a tongue twister. So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to the book Julius, Baby of the World. And for this book, I want you to see if there's another character that is carried through this Kevin Henkes books. Okay, let's see.
And now, Julius, the baby of the world. Written and illustrated by Kevin Henkes. These are for the baby. Before And now, Julius was born. It was a different story. Lily took her things back. She pinched his tail, and she yelled insulting comments into his crib. These are mine. I am the queen, said Lily, and I hate Julius. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes. And they stroked his sweet white fur. Lily thought his wet pink nose was slimy. She thought his small black eyes were beady. And she thought his sweet white fur was not so sweet, especially when he needed his diaper changed. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Lily had to share her room with Julius. After Julius goes away, do I get my room back? She asked. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's mother. And he didn't. He stayed and stayed and stayed. Lily was supposed to be very quiet while Julius slept. After Julius goes away, can I talk like a normal person again? She shouted. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's father. And he didn't. He stayed and stayed and stayed. We love you, Julius. You are beautiful, Julius. We want Julius to grow up to be as extraordinary as you, said Lily's mother. So we must tell him constantly how beautiful he is and how much we love him. When no one was looking, Lily had her own idea. I hate you. You are ugly. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want Julius to grow up to be as clever as you, said Lily's father. So we must sing him his numbers and letters whenever possible. When no one was looking, Lily had her own idea. 3, 8, 1, 5, 9, 6. A, J, K, Z, B, S, C, H. Lily's parents were more than a bit doubtful about leaving the two of them alone together. Lily tried to frighten Julius with her nifty disguises. She learned magic and tried to make him disappear. When that didn't work, she simply pretended that he didn't exist. Baby? What baby? I don't hear anything. Lily spent more time than usual in the uncooperative chair. Lily's parents showered her with hugs and kisses and treats of all shapes and sizes. They even let her stay up 15 minutes later every night. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. I am the queen, said Lily, and I hate Julius. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes. And they stroked his sweet white fur. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Lily's parents were amused when Julius blew a bubble. Can you believe it? They exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's mind our manners, please. Lily's parents were dazzled when Julius babbled and gurgled. Such a vocabulary, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's act our age, please. Lily's parents were amazed when Julius screamed. What lung capacity, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's restrain ourselves, please. One morning, while Lily was busy playing opera, her mother said, Why don't you put some of that verbal exuberance to good use? Why don't you tell Julius a nice story? He's too little to understand a story, said Lily. He can understand it in his own way, said Lily's mother. Okay, said Lily, smiling. Julius, the germ of the world by me, said Lily. Once upon a time, said Lily, there was a baby. His name was Julius. Julius was a real germ. Julius was like dust under the bed. If he was a number, he would be 0. If he was a food, he'd be a raisin. 0 is nothing. A raisin tastes like dirt. The end, said Lily. The story earned her 10 minutes in the uncooperative chair. Lily warned her friends, Chester and Wilson and Victor, about babies. Trust me, they're dreadful, she said. She warned strangers about babies, too. You will live to regret that bump under your dress, she said. Lily ran away 7 times in one morning. I'm really leaving this time, she called. Who knows where they'll find me? The same afternoon, Lily had a tea party, and everyone came. Everyone but Julius. His invitation must have been lost in the mail, she explained. Lily had glorious dreams about Julius. And ghastly nightmares, too. Lily's parents showered her with compliments and praise and niceties of all shapes and sizes. They even let her drink juice out of the antique china cup. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. "I am the queen," said Lily, "and I hate Julius." But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes. And they stroked his sweet white fur. "Julius is the baby of the world," chimed Lily's parents. "Disgusting," said Lily. When Lily's mother felt up to it, she planned a festive celebration in honor of Julius. All the relatives came. There was quite a spread. "What's the big deal?" said Lily. "Haven't they seen a silly lump before?" Apparently not. All afternoon, the relatives hovered over Julius. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes. And they stroked his sweet white fur. "Disgusting," said Cousin Garland. "What?" said Lily. "Julius," said Cousin Garland. "I think his wet pink nose is slimy. I think his small black eyes are beady. And I think his sweet white fur is not so sweet. He needs his diaper changed." Lily's nose twitched. Her eyes narrowed. Her fur stood on end. And her tail quivered. "You're talking about my brother," said Lily. "And for your information, his nose is shiny, his eyes are sparkly, and his fur smells like perfume." Cousin Garland was speechless. "He can blow bubbles," continued Lily. "He can babble and gurgle, and he can scream better than anyone." Cousin Garland tried to slink out of the room. "Stop," said Lily. "I am the queen. Watch me closely." Lily picked up Julius. She kissed his wet pink nose. She admired his small black eyes. And she stroked his sweet white fur. "Your turn," said Lily, handing Julius over to Cousin Garland. "Kiss, admire, stroke," Lily commanded. "Now repeat after me," said Lily. "Julius is the baby of the world." "Julius is the baby of the world," said Cousin Garland. "Louder," said Lily. "Julius is the baby of the world." And from then on, he was, in everyone's opinion, especially in Lily's. "We're almost twins."
Oopsies. All righty. Oopsies. Let me close that down. There we go. All righty, friends. So, who can tell me what did those characters have in common? What character did they have in common in these Kevin Henkes books? Did you say Lily? Yes, I agree. Lily is the character that is consistent through all three of these Kevin Henkes books. I wonder if you could tell me, how did Lily change from the beginning of the book to the end of the book? How did she change? I think she changed a lot too. Yeah, she went from not that great of a big sister to an amazing big sister. It seems she really learned some good lessons through it. So this character definitely evolved from the beginning of the book. All right, so here's just a preview of some other books that had characters that traveled between the books. And so this is the author Vera B. Williams, and you can see in A Chair for My Mother, the characters were Rosa, her mother, and her grandmother. And then the same characters were in Something Special for Bee by Vera B. Williams and Music for Everyone. Great. So now it's your turn. What I would love for you to do is find two books from the same author. You could find two books by the same author, whether they're in your collection of books at home. Maybe you could go to getepic.com. That's epic. There's epic books, which are really fun, maybe even in Raz Kids, but you're going to find two books by the same author. And what I want you to discuss on Seesaw is who are the characters? How could you tell they were the same in the books? And did the characters change from one book to another? And how? So I can't wait to hear your responses, Mavericks, and good luck with this project. Happy reading!